Not really a story, more like some screwed up experience. Going back home from music school, already night, dark as shit. Live in a mountainous area 5 minutes from forest. No buses, so either having to walk or get grandparents to take me home. Grandparents live right across from us, they have a huge ass garden. Forest is close, so lots of animals wander around at night. Looked around like I always do before heading towards our house. See some kind of animal in grandparents' garden. Walk closer, look at it. No fucking animal looks like this. Has a pair of deer legs, human-like body, arms and deer head. Turns its head, looks straight at me. Scared shitless. Afraid to breathe or move. Creature turns around and walks off. I head home. Happened a few times, I usually see it around the same spot, never bother to go too close to it though. Be about 12. Frog gigging one night with friend and his brother. Have to leave to go home, friend and his brother stay behind. Mile walk through the woods back to friend's house. Final stretch of the walk, house is in sight. Notice out of nowhere a tall cloaked and hooded figure. Looks like it's floating a foot off the ground, and it's 7 or 8 foot tall. Cloak is all tattered, looks like a classic Grim Reaper getup, no scythe. Whatever it is gliding across from the garage to the barn. 12-year-old me grabs a stick to defend against spirit/creature. Look back up, no sign of it. Book ass past where the thing crossed, didn't look back. Mom's waiting in driveway, get it and go home, apparently wasn't too visibly shaken. Haven't spoken to anyone about this since it's happened, they'd just call bullshit. Been back to the same area normally, no other occurrences. Really curious as to what the hell I saw that afternoon. It doesn't really bother me, kinda neat that I have witnessed something paranormal. Does anyone have any clue what it was? I have loads of spooky stories if you're interested. I'm like a magnet for ghosts, they used to scare the sh out of me but now I'm used to them. This was back when they spooked me. B16. At friend's house. Quite an old house in the UK and home alone. Dunno if the house has history of spooks, but it wouldn't surprise me if some Native American demon witch was burned here or some shit. In bathroom taking a piss. Shut the door behind me and pull out my phone and go on 4chan. Get a shiver down my spine and feeling easy. Shrug it off because getting shivers when pissing isn't uncommon. Phone screen goes white to load a page. See something move slightly in phone's reflection. It's a face on my shoulder. My heart starts pounding. I'd piss myself if I didn't just finish pissing already. He looks a little older than me, around 18, and it's staring at my screen with a blank expression. His eyes move and meet mine in the reflection. Oh no, oh no, oh no. .png. The page loads after what feels like an eternity, and I can't see my reflection anymore. I calm down a bit and get the balls to turn around. Nothing is there, and a wave of relief washes over me. The relief was short-lived as my asshole reclenches. The toilet door is slightly opened. I know that I closed it before I pulled out my phone and I didn't hear it open. Needless to say, I went to the downstairs toilet from then on. Still do now, but not because I'm scared of the ghost, it's because I don't want some pervert ghost looking at my dick. Have some more stories if you want to hear them. Be me, 18 or 19. Native American family, super spiritual/religious. Half my aunt's face suddenly stops working for a week and she says it's some witch at work putting a curse or some shit. Don't question it, family talks of ghosts and spirits, so whatevs. Drive to Oklahoma to see a medicine man. Lives next to a cemetery, not spooky at all. Pull up with my grandma and auntie, smoke a welcome cig and chop it up. Medicine man says he needs help in the back. I say yes cause I was like, this shit isn't going to work. Walk into his room, nothing unusual except he has 2 glass cups on a table. One is filled with brown liquid and bugs, WTF. Turns out to be peyote tea. This is when it gets weird. He starts spraying and putting tea in his mouth, but he doesn't drink it. He would keep it in his mouth and then suck around the part of her face that lost feeling. Then spit it out on the clean cup. I figured he was pulling whatever evil was there, or poison, didn't really ask too many questions, super native dude with broken English. I have never been a big believer in paranormal stuff, love horror and the idea of them but never experienced anything. I felt a very strong energy come out of nowhere and it was kind of pulling the room towards it. Medicine man said don't be scared but I'm shitting bricks. He keeps doing whatever the hell he is doing. The energy is now affecting the light in there, it feels like the shades are drawn but they aren't. I feel anger coming from the energy that's now directly in the middle of the room. We are almost down to the end of the T. Energy keeps building up, feels like static all around us. Finish up the ritual or whatever and instantly feel better. Burn cedar and does a cleanse and prayer, smoke like 6 bowls. Medicine man asked if I felt it, and said good, spirits are real. Get everybody in the car and drive back to Texas. Don't say a word, trying to process what happened. I believe now. Be me, 5 years old. Christmas time, 30-some years ago. Live in an old farmhouse. Share an upstairs bedroom with my younger brother. Also share a queen-sized bed in said bedroom. Moonlit night in winter. Snow on the ground, combined with moon, gives room a brighter glow at night. Middle of the night, sleeping. Ding. What? Ding. Wake up, sit up in bed, brother still sleeping. Look over to my right, near the middle of the room. Side note, Grandpa lives in supposed haunted house in the city not far away. Side note, really creepy house. 5-year-old me does not like this house. Side note, present day me has heard stories from mom and aunts and uncles confirming haunted status of Grandpa's house. Side note, we visit Grandpa earlier that day. Side note, Grandpa gives brother and I schoolhouse as Christmas present, exactly like one in post photo. 2 childlike white beings near schoolhouse toy. One of the beings is sitting down, examining and playing with schoolhouse. Get the feeling this was a little girl. Second being is standing/bending over, ringing the schoolhouse toy bell in the steeple. Get the feeling this was a little boy, the older of the 2. Ding, ding. Ah. Sitting being looks over and sees me sitting up in bed watching. Alerts standing being. Oh no. Standing being stands up fully and slowly starts walking across room. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Being reaches foot of bed, keeps walking around to my side of the bed. Me, throws the covers over my head, fearing the worst. Nothing. Seconds later. Ding, ding. Scared out of my mind, but somehow fall asleep. Wake up in the morning, tell my mom what had happened. Later in the day, she takes the schoolhouse outside and burns it. I got one. Be me, 12 years old. Live out in the woods, as many people who have this kind of shit happen do. Be chillin' in the treehouse my dad built. A clearing is in view of the treehouse. So I'm up there sitting on my ass eating the zebra cakes my mom bought. Freaking love zebra cakes. So I'm up there eating, looking out over my imaginary little kingdom, when all of a sudden a freaking mandeer thing walks out into the clearing while making these guttural primeval noises. At this point I am obviously shitting my pants, so I grab my little BB gun, stuff what may be my last zebra cake into my maw, and began the 100-yard trek back to the house. In hindsight it would have been smarter to use the zip line. I step on a huge branch that makes a sound like a shotgun. Being a 12-year-old who sneaks dad's horror movies at night, I realize how screwed I am. Mandeer turns to look at me before shrieking like a banshee. So now I'm hauling ass with a Wendigo wannabe chasing after me. Great. Turn around with my BB gun for a split second to attempt to get off an incredibly ineffective shot at it, and lo and behold, it's 30 feet behind me and gaining fast. I reconsider the shot. Make it back to my house and start screaming like a baby. Mother thinks it's my little sister flipping her shit. Nope. It's me. Dad comes down and I'm panting and incoherent. I'm in front of a window. Dad's eyes widen and he runs to the gun locker. Pulls out the artillery, his FAL. He walks out and starts screaming while shooting into the woods. freaking Rambo Dad. He comes in 2 minutes later, grabs me, and we start spreading salt around the property. No clue why. Ask him 6 years later, and he says it was a forest spirit. We are native-born Chinooks, so I'm not surprised he made a connection to our tribal lore. Who the hell knows, maybe I almost got mauled by a forest spirit. Also, to clarify, the reason we didn't live on the res is my dad was in the military for 6 years before we went to live back home. Area was about 6 miles into the Olympic Peninsula. If anyone can actually give me an idea of what it was that tried to eat my freaking giblets, I would really appreciate verification. Some stories from me, an Indian, that I gather from my relatives and others that live in another city than me. Be my aunt's family, night driving the middle of the forest that connects 2 towns. Mostly empty street, and like any other outer city roads, the sides of it had lost most of the asphalt. See a bunch of farmers with hoes, and those weaved hats walking in our asphalted part, so the car had to swerve into the incoming lane for some time. My aunt made a remark after they passed the walking men. I wonder what those farmers are doing so late at night? My granduncle, granddad, her parents and his older sister, my other aunt, were confused. I forget exactly what my aunt told me they said, but it was something like this. Granduncle saw a man herding 2 buffaloes. Granddad saw some village women. Her sister saw some men in old bicycles. Tried to look back at the commune that they had passed, but it was normally too dark to see, so they can't confirm who was right. In their city, there's this ancestral house that belongs to my great-grandparents from mother's side, the same family branch of my aforementioned aunts and co, and it was reportedly to be spooky as hell, as my great-grandpa was a keen Javanese mystic. Usually when relatives come to that city, they stay over there for some nights, before staying in some hotel of some sort. Here's a story from my mother. Be my teen mom, sleeping in one of the guest room. Woke up to the sound of someone dirt sweeping the yard next to her room. Open the window curtains a bit and see a stout woman, probably the caretaker, doing the sweeping. Sweeping the yard like that was common morning activity, so my mum took a bath and prepares for the day. Goes out to the living room, all tidy and proper, only to see that the time is 2 a.m. My grandpa is still up from watching late-night football and sees her, and she told him about the sweeping woman. Check the back room and the yard to find the caretaker asleep. Same house, more story. Be another relative staying together with her family. Woke up in the morning and want to take a bath. The main bathroom is used, so she uses the bathroom in the back. All cleaned, she walks by the main bathroom and hear that whoever is taking a bath is still there. Thought nothing of it. The rest of family then awakes one by one, and the main bathroom is still occupied. By then, they realize that something fishy is going on. They all huddle in front of the bathroom and try to open the door together. The sound of water splashing instantly vanished. The bathroom is empty, but it was drenched, not a single spot was dry. Even the ceilings and the lamp were all wet. Also, my aunt that I told you about before once was cooking in that house, when a pale young boy suddenly appeared from the walls. When the boy sees that my aunt caught him in the act, the boys went back into the walls again. They say that the beings there come and go. There's an apparition of an old man that was seen in the front terrace smoking self-made cigar, seen by neighbors. It was said to be one of the closest spirit aid to my great-grandpa, but he hasn't been seen in years. There's also a story about an uncle that slept in one of the guest room and wakes up in living room, or one of my distant grandaunts was seen sitting alone in a white dress, when she's not actually visiting, and few days later she apparently had passed away. Nowadays, the house has been sold to be renovated into a boutique to a family friend, but there hasn't any real improvement over more than a year that it had exchanged hands. The blueprint keeps being changed as no design never seemed to fit, and the new owners are struck with weird dreams, including a visit from a Javanese prince. My family can trace itself to some minor sultanate in eastern Java. Last I heard, the man that bought the house died from sudden illness. We, being a superstitious bunch, sometimes connect the dots like this. This is the story that spooks me the most, since I literally can't explain it. It could be something like a hallucination, a waking dream, or a weather balloon filled with swamp gas or something, since me and my friend saw the exact same thing. Be around 15 or something, I can't remember exactly. At my friend's house again, Dan, with a third person, Steve. Playing Smash Brothers on the GameCube. Being the best Mario main in the universe, I keep beating Dan. He starts getting annoyed, so he suggests we go for a walk. It's like 3 AM, he says, who cares, let's go out for the spoops. More concerned about getting attacked by a hobo than ghosts, but I agree anyway because I'm a dumb 15-year-old. We live in a small village with a large lake in the center. The lake has a path around the outside of it that loops around to the beginning. Since the lake has no streetlights around it, I say we should go down the path for mad spooks. Steve agrees, but Dan is dead against it. I have a really bad feeling about this. Let's go somewhere else. Me and Steve start making fun of him and say we are going anyway. Dan starts to go into a panic and hyperventilates. Dan has never done something like this before and is generally quite calm, so this takes us by surprise. We decide we will find somewhere else to go, but it doesn't stop us from making fun of Dan for being scared. When we are walking back to Dan's house, we walk past the lake again. Out of the corner of my eye, I see something move. It's a guy. He is wearing what seemed to be a trench coat and a fedora. I thought it was weird that someone is just walking around outside at almost 4 AM, but since we were doing the same, it didn't really alarm me. Well, at least until he walked under the street light. Despite being under a street light, his body was ash black, like a shadow. Dan then says to me, "Can you see that guy there? What the hell?" Steve says he can't see anyone. I go to point him out to Steve, but he has vanished. I don't remember taking my eyes off him, but still, he just wasn't there anymore. I didn't see the guy run anywhere. And there was nowhere he could have ran to without going into a full Usain Bolt sprint. If he did do that though, we surely would have heard it since it was completely silent outside. He just vanished into thin air. This scared the hell out of us, so we ran back to Dan's house and locked all the doors. About 3 days later, Steve sent me a message. It was a link to the local paper's website. I was a bit weirded out by this, but clicked it anyway. After reading it, my heart sank. Old man's body found. It's in the lake we went to. And the date it was published was the day after we were at Dan's. I think Dan might be a psychic or something, because I'm not sure what might have happened if we did walk down the lake path. For reference, the man looked just like this. I have one more. B19. At Dan's house, where all the spoops happen. We are having a party. Party consists of 4 of us playing Smash and random games on the Xbox 360 while people get shit-faced drunk. I don't drink, so when everyone is passed out, I sit in the garden by myself and watch anime on my phone in the dark. It's actually surprisingly comfy. One night I was watching the end of Death Note. If any /A lurkers are here, you will know how tense the ending is, so I'm not paying attention to my surroundings. Hear the sliding door to the back garden slam. Assume it's one of my friends wandering outside, so I just ignore it. Suddenly feel really paranoid. Get that feeling where you feel someone is watching you. Look around the garden to see if anyone is there. To my relief, the garden was empty. Then it hit me. If the garden was empty, who opened the door? Try and think of what it could have been. I eventually come to the conclusion it must have been someone going into the backyard to take a piss or something, saw me and decided to go back inside. I still can't shake that paranoid feeling though. Suddenly I feel a thump to the back of my head, followed by someone yelling, "Wake up!" The voice wasn't normal, it sounded like how a deaf person talks. I completely shit myself and run inside. I slam and lock the back door and run upstairs. After about what felt like about 30 minutes, I had calmed down a bit. It started to rain, so I decided I would watch a bit more Death Note, then head home when the rain stops. Wait. Where is my phone? Oh shit, I must have left it outside. Run downstairs hoping my phone wasn't broken. My heart skips a beat. My phone was safe, but it was on the inside of the sliding door. The door was slightly opened, even though I know I locked it. Decide to stay over at Dan's for the night, then leave in the morning. B me. B16. Me and a few buddies have just gotten off school on winter break, and have decided to go in the woods. Bring some MREs, water, and of course zebra cakes. Also bring weapons. Our arsenal included 2 bolt-action hunting rifles, a weeaboo sword, and an axe. In hindsight, maybe we should have stuck to the old tree house. About 4 miles into the woods, we found an axe stuck into the side of a tree. Being teenage idiots, we thought this was awesome. We took it, of course. I think it might still be in my dad's garage somewhere. We walked another mile. Hey, look, a dog skin. Wait, what the hell? There is a dog skin, nailed to a freaking tree. Whatever, it was probably just a trail marker from some lost hikers. Said no one ever. We pressed on regardless. Another 4 miles into the woods, we had hit our little oasis. And by oasis, I mean a small cave with a nearby stream. We were weirdos who liked to act like cavemen, so we had left some mock-up cave paintings we did with deer blood. Like I said, we were weirdos. But there was a new one in there. One we didn't do. We shat bricks when we saw a little drawing representing us on our little 9-hour hike. Some creepy guy had depicted everything. There was a drawing of us pulling the axe out of the tree, and one of us finding the dog skin. All done in fresh deer blood. Hopes that our little sanctuary in the very back was untouched was met with the sight of a deer's head mounted on a rock at the very back. Naturally, we were weirdos, and we just laughed it off and buried the deer head. So of course we were gonna camp in the cave. We just slept in shifts. The little part of the cave we slept in was slightly elevated. You had to crawl through a tunnel which had a 2-foot incline. It led into a 10 feet by 8 feet by 6 feet area of the cave. The wonderful part about the tunnel was it wasn't really that cramped. It was actually quite spacious, and you could crouch all the way through. We used a battery-powered heater and thermal sleeping bags because suffocating sounds like an awful plan. We cooked in the main cave. Same place we put those weird-ass paintings. We were on day 3 of our planned 2-week camping trip. We had added a few more cave paintings and had cooked some deer. The MREs are just for if we can't get a kill. But anyway, we were sitting around, snacking on deer, and I had made a zebra cake and venison sandwich. It was fantastic, by the way. We were about to start telling stories, and all of a sudden one of us looks out of the cave and says, "Holy crap, everyone look." We look outside of the cave, and everyone freaking panics. There is a guy, with an axe, wearing the same dog skin from earlier. I guess he was tanning it like an idiot. The dude has nothing else on. His dick is freaking hanging out. All of us are losing our freaking shit. Rifles were raised, shots were fired. And the guy freaking smiled. He smiled, and rushed us. Everyone's pants were full. The guy vanishes into the air about 4 feet away from the cave entrance. We settle down after an hour of panic, and finish our food. 6 teenage boys ate a whole freaking deer, who knew? We crawled into our little fortress, and feeling like supreme fat asses, went to sleep. The next morning when we woke up, the deer bones were gone. Instead there was a human skeleton with a dog skin on it. At this point one of us actually shit his pants. There was a new painting on the wall. Just a big smile. We still don't know what was going on, but we had state troopers up there within an hour. They brought the helicopter and everything. This was before the internet was a big thing, so I'm assuming the article isn't online. Turns out the guy was a hiker who went missing in 1970. The skull was fractured, but not to the point where it was fatal. They thought he had gotten a concussion after a fall and forgot who he was and where he was. It is kind of sad, but now I can say me and my buddy shot at a ghost. I got a new story. 1991. I'm 13. Hanging with my friend Magellan. Eating zebra cakes, not kidding. Talking about girls we like, sports, SNES, the kind of shit little boys in the 90s would talk about. Just having fun, when all of a sudden a huge crash is heard coming from the next room. I'm visibly shitting, so Magellan just says, "Don't worry man, it's just a ghost." Interest is piqued. Apparently some guy hung himself in that room. To verify, just look up death records for Cheerless, Washington. I'm too lazy right now. Apparently this shit happens all the time in their house. He just got a night vision camera for his birthday, so we decide, hey, let's check this shit out. Pop a tape in the camera, and leave it in the room overnight. Next morning, watching the tape. Nothing happens until 5 a.m. When we went to get the camera. Right before we turn it off, a body can be seen falling and stopping in midair behind us. We didn't see it. Ghosts are freaking scary. Long ago, in Bumfuck, Tennessee Hills, deep in the woods. Titanic just came out on VHS. Dad rented it at local video store. Like I said, long time ago. Dark outside. Grew up in these woods, no worries. Me, and my too many siblings on the floor. Dad on the couch. I should say we had a window on the left, a sliding glass door on the right, both shut and locked. Floating light passing between trees outside, bright enough to distract us all from tits on screen. WTF, is someone in our woods with a spotlight? Light passes through sliding glass door. Floats carelessly through living room, 2 feet over me, laying on floor. Slides out the window. My face went, oh god, holy shit, please don't. WebM. House silent for like 2 years. Dad says, anyone else see that? Yep. Bedtime. 11 years old now. Mom moves a couple times a year. All over Tennessee. Living near Sparta. Screw that. Everyone knows bad shit happens there constantly. Cute girl lives a mile down the road. Likes my brother but we still hang out. Talks about the thing in the basement all the time. Hanging waiting for mom to come pick me up. Goddamn cacophony in the basement. Her mom and dad act like nothing happened. Ooh, you wanna see what he did? She said. This is why white people die. JPEG. Basement is freaking wrecked. All drawers dumped, closets scattered, cabinets ransacked. I'm an impressive delinquent but it would have taken me 10 minutes to Shrek this place. Took the basement thing 0.5 seconds. Go home and never come back. She wasn't that cute. 25 now. B Navy. Deployed to Japan. Fucking great time. Stay on Mount Fuji in winter, for work. K. This sucks balls. Aokigahara Harajuku is on the north side of mountain. I ain't afraid of no goats. JPEG. Group up with some Americans that live there now. Make plan to go. Day before, base commander calls me in. My face went, damn it, what now? He heard about my trip somehow. Says no go. Says others went yesterday, found dead body. No did you think they'd find puppies and bunnies? It's the forest, not Chuck E. Cheese. He thinks this is funny, he's a cool guy. Still no go. He's a Marine full bird and I'm not. 3 days later we go. Change itinerary enough that no charges could be brought. JIC if it goes ass up. Catch Honcho out base gate. Ask him to take us to the forest. Hell to the nod. GIF. Says he'll drop us off a mile away. Guess that works. Stops on side of road. Middle of Frickvatville woods. Points through woods. 1 or 2 kilometer that way is main road, forest and ice cream parlor. Ice cream? Yeah. If you make it back, call someone else to pick you up. Gaijin, derogatory word for not Japanese. PLO.webm. We walk through woods. It's midday. No worries main. Emerge other side. No ice cream parlor next to sign pleading for you to not murk yourself. Start walking through forest. Silent. Absolute quiet. Like this the whole time. Place actually very comforting. Feel welcome, inclined to stay a while, like a comfy bed in the morning. We spend hours walking around and exploring. Walking deeper into the forest. Trail markers everywhere. Read that people leave markers for the park ranger to find. To follow to their body. Follow several to the end. Find purses or shoes or wallets or clothes. No bodies. Tree canopy whole time has been thick. Dusk like it mow the whole day. But now it's getting dark. Really dark. Start walking about. Way dark. Start jogging back. It's me and 4 Marines. Hear some shit. Deep in the woods where we just were. Loud. My asshole puckers up. Start running. The forest had been a very welcoming, almost sedative environment up until one single moment. The moment we started back out. Since that first step back out, there had been a dread. Like walking against a shallow but strong undertow. Hauling ass back out and it's near pitch black. Emerge as whatever the fuck behind us just stops. Dread still lingers. Standing in an empty parking lot surrounded on all sides by woods. Definitely being watched by everywhere. Ice cream place is closed. Single street light is on. Try T flag down, passing car, or anything because our phones don't work out here. For some reason. We all know the reason. Decide to fan out. One of us every 15 yards along the side of the road. Bus is coming. Perfect. Just like we rehearsed, Phyllis. We all step into the road forcing the bus driver to stop. Each jumping back as he nears and thus breaking up his deceleration to a regular rate. No need for stupid Hollywood-style bus deaths. Or Greyhound off-roading. Ride back to town with him on an empty bus. No wonder he was going so fast. If I was him, driving through there, I'd have driven right through those damn gaijin in the road. Get to town, give him money for the stress. Like 10,000 yen, like $90 each. Take cab home. Decide not to mess with Japan culture again. Stay inside the rest of the time in Fuji at night. So this story begins with me helping my grandmother by painting her house, due to the fact that this lady on a ladder would, at best, result in a broken hip, and at worst, a broken neck. I suppose she could have hired some professional painters, but she happened to live in the middle of nowhere, the Dalles, Oregon, and our family has this annoying habit of staying poor, so hiring laborers would be too costly. Some more context. My whole family on my mother's side are Jehovah's Witnesses, or Jehobos, as I like to call them. I'm guessing this happened sometime after the family crossed the Atlantic. This has led to them becoming very strange, but nothing that would warrant serious intervention. For example, they are firm believers in the paranormal, and that invoking God's name can thwart off threats. All in all, after studying my family history, I decided this was a major improvement from our semi-nomadic, gypsy past, which had a tendency to give me the shivers thinking about the strange things that our ancestors did. Pick semi-related. It's the kind of tomfoolery you'd see in the Dalles. Arrive at my grandmother's house on a small lot of land in the middle of freaking nowhere. A few houses within eyesight, but the place is isolated. The only noise you heard aside from the noise you made was the neighbor's rooster in the morning. As soon as I get in the door she tries to sell me on this month's issue of The Watchtower, a church-issued magazine. Yeah, okay grandma, so what parts of the house am I painting? She had just moved into this new house, so she gave me a tour. The first thing I noticed was how basic it was. She wasn't at risk of freezing, but there were patches with no insulation. Instead of paint on many of the walls, there was this ancient, cheap wallpaper that was fading. The whole place gave me this rundown and cheap feel. One bit that weirded me out was how strangely the house was planned out, or how little of it was actually planned out. There were seemingly random doorways and chambers, which was a little unnerving considering that many of these rooms served little obvious purpose. The house was a medium size, which was large considering it was only housing my grandmother and her 12-year-old Shih Tzu. The creepiest thing about the place was all the abandoned shit everywhere. Books, clothes, rusty tools, kitchenware, children's toys, etc. Apparently her inner gypsy kicked in and decided all this leftover worthless trash was acceptable. That, or she needed a cheap place, and when the landowner said, as is, they really meant as is. It becomes apparent that this trip to paint her house may extend a few days, so I can make her home somewhat respectable and habitable. decide that I'll get started on the place first thing in the morning, seeing as I had arrived at about 8:30 and it was now nearly 10 p.m. So we eat dinner in the living room, and I get set up on the couch. About 30 minutes into trying to sleep, I'm ripped from my trance by the sound of footsteps down the hallway. "Grandma?" No response. I don't know what's going on, but I feel anxious, so I reach down to the floor and pull my pocket knife out of my shoe, as if that would be my lifeline. Something about this place just gives me bad vibes. While I'm fumbling around on the ground for my knife, I can hear some items being shuffled about in the impenetrable blackness down the hallway. I freeze. The fact that I can't see whatever this is causes me to get increasingly nervous, and I try to hold my breath. I know that if it starts coming towards me I'll be able to see it coming by the bluish-gray moonlight cast across the hallway in a slanted square shape. In the silence that follows, I can hear my grandmother snoring loudly down the hallway. Nothing happens for some time. Whatever it was didn't sound particularly threatening, just unexpected. As I attempt to go back to sleep, I can hear something softly pattering about in the attic, which starts to feel less threatening over time, and I eventually drift off. The next morning I ask my grandmother if she has a rodent problem, seeing as this house was anything but modern and critters could easily get in. "No rats or raccoons," she says. That's interesting. We hear the crackling of her gravel driveway, and somebody in an 80s Chevy square body truck stops outside the house. It's the neighbor. He starts explaining how he heard some weird stuff last night, and he wanted to make sure that I was aware of the property lines. Apparently I upset the balance of this place by causing more than 30 mammals to be occupying the same 1,000 square yards, and now shit's getting funky. Weird, I haven't left the building since I got here. We'll keep an eye out. Apparently the last person to live here was another old lady that died about 10 years ago. At this point, I'm not too worried about anything, so I got about my plan to start painting. This goes on without incident for about 6 hours until I start painting one of the purposeless rooms. The step ladder is facing a wall, and I'm on the top rung painting the corner in between the wall and the ceiling. I'm thinking about some sophomore salute and painting away when I hear something above me that makes my heart sink. It's the kind of sound that is made when somebody makes a single step or puts pressure on one foot on a creaky floorboard, a kind of slow, moaning creaking noise. I have a mini panic attack, ditch the brush and jump off the ladder with my hands up. Freaking rats. I get a little frustrated that I just shaved 3 months off of my life, after exercising my heart like that over a damned animal. I'm calming down and inspecting the room for anomalies, until I see that there is a trapdoor leading to the attic from this room. "Okay. Grandma, could you come in here?" Proceed to ask her about the attic and if she has started to store things in here yet, as my cousins moved her in here. Really, I'm just a gigantic pussy and wanted her to be there while I checked it out. What a surprise, more leftover shit up here. Also, other leftover shit in the form of animal feces, confirming my suspicions. She's bringing in boxes for me to lug up here, when I find something very strange. A ring of dead rose petals, some symbols written on the plywood, surrounding some dust/ash and a plain wooden figurine. For some reason, this featureless literal stick figure gave me a strong feeling of dread. What the hell? I started to get this paranoid feeling that I didn't belong there, and that I needed to get the hell out of there. Immediately start telling my grandmother what I found, standing 12 feet above her and speaking through the square hole in the ceiling. Her eyes double in size and she turns white. She starts shouting at me to grab the doll with her handkerchief and bring it downstairs immediately. I got to grab the doll, but the feeling of dread intensifies tenfold. I experience this surreal feeling of torment, in which time slows and I fearfully gaze at the doll before grabbing it. This whole event lasted 5 seconds, but it felt like a minute. I bring the figurine down and head towards the living room. The front door is open and my grandma has clearly entered psycho mode. In the middle of the driveway she's already made a small pile of firewood and lit it with some matches and some kerosene. She shrieks at me to hurry up and throw it in the blaze. We sat there watching it burn and I felt a huge catharsis, like all my worries were alleviated and the threat was gone. As we watched it burn, I looked at the details of the figure. It had no facial features, and the thing was clearly handmade. You could see the chisel marks. About 5 minutes into just standing there watching this thing burn, we hear a loud bang. The front door had slammed shut and bounced open again, about 30 degrees ajar and creeping further. She invites me to come inside and pray with her. I don't fight her on this one. We come in and pray, and she does some sloppy but very serious blessings around the house. Decide to call it an early day, and we play cards, talk, eat dinner and go to bed. Seriously jolted by what I saw up there, but I'm able to keep cool. The night was the same as last night in the sense that right when I was about to get some sleep, I awake to some quiet noises in the darkness. This time my heart is about to jump out of my chest, as I realize this is most likely not a freaking raccoon. I'm staring down the hallway again, looking past my feet, waiting for something to step out into the moonlight and reveal itself. I can freaking feel it creeping back there. As I start to breathe normally again, I can see something in the light. The most horrifying thing I have ever seen begins a kind of hurried walk towards me. The creature is 5 feet tall and humanoid, with long black hair. I cannot distinguish any features. Its skin is as black as the void, aside from white glowing eyes. Before I can move it reaches me, staring me dead in the eyes inches from my face. I scream in terror. I honestly thought I might have just died of fright because I saw nothing. I realized that I was dreaming and that the hallway is completely black. It was a cloudy night. A hallway light is flicked on and my grandmother comes in to check on me. I'm speechless, but I can sense that she knows what happened. I decide to sleep on the floor in my grandmother's room that night like a child, but honestly I have never been more frightened by something I can see in my entire life. The next few days nothing happened, although I never entered the attic again. My grandmother apparently had some elders come to her home and sanctify it, and she didn't mention anything else happening. She moved out of there about 6 months later, and I haven't been there since. The entity in question is something I have read about on /X about only twice. They all describe it the same way, short, black humanoid that moves quickly. I wish I knew what the hell it was.